The college football playoff will change for the 2025-26 college football season, and I think most of you will like it. There's also a reason that the Big 12 and other conferences may be looking to partner with private capital outside of the things we already know about. I'm also going to talk about that and how it actually kind of ties in to the college football playoff. And we're going to have that conversation, and I'll explain it right after this word from one of our sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. Let's talk about the changes to the college football playoff. Do these changes involve seeding? And I think most college football fans agree that doing the seeding based on conference champions, it kind of didn't work out great. Now, look, I feel like the best two teams at the end of the year ended up playing for the championship, okay? But in the earlier rounds, we saw some teams probably seeded higher than they should have been only because they won their conference. Now, what's going to happen for the 25-26 season is they're going to base the seeding, which in turn means the teams who get the first round buys will be based on not whether or not you win your conference, but the teams who were ranked the highest in the final poll. For example, Arizona State this past year out of the Big 12, they got the 4 seed because they were one of the highest ranked conference champions, which is how the rule was written for the first year of the 12-team playoff. The 4 highest seeded conference champions got the automatic bye. Didn't matter if they were seeded 11th or 2nd. If they were one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions, they got one of those buys. In Arizona State's case, they would have been the 11 seed based on their ranking. But because they were the 4th highest rated conference champion, they got the 4 seed. Now, the way it's going to happen this coming season is they'll get the 11 seed. Now, they'll get an automatic spot. They'll get an automatic berth. But they won't necessarily get that first round bye, and they won't get that 4 seed. So that is a change coming. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read you the media release from the College Football Playoff Management Committee. It says, the College Football Playoff Management Committee, comprised of the 10 FBS conference commissioners and the director of athletics for the University of Notre Dame, today voted unanimously to modify the seeding and bye policies of the 12-team playoff for the 25-26 season. The new policy will guarantee the 5 highest-ranked conference champions a place in the playoff, but will no longer include a bye for the 4 highest-ranked champions. The 12-team bracket will now be seeded directly based on the final 4 highest-ranked teams receiving a first-round bye. If one or more of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions are ranked outside the top 12, that team or teams would move up to the 12th seed, 11th seed, etc., based on the number of conference champions outside the top 12. So, if you're seeded 15th, but you win your league, and you're one of the 4 highest-rated conference champions or 5 highest-rated conference champions, they'll move you up to the 11 or 12 seed just because you won your conference, which means, teams that are seeded 11 and 12 may not make it still like last year because they didn't win their league. But it also means that the first round games we will get will likely be more competitive. At least that's the hope, right? Now, here's the compromise that was made. We had heard Brett Yormark comment before that one of the reasons he didn't want to give up that first round bye was the financial ramifications. Teams get paid $4 million for every, or the conferences actually get paid $4 million for every round the team advances. So the Big 12 got $8 million because Arizona State made it to the quarterfinal round, even though they didn't even win a game to get there. They still got rewarded for it. Brett Yormark didn't, for obvious reasons, didn't want to give that up. Well, here's the compromise. And this was reported by Ross Dellinger over on X. Earlier today, he says, the current 12-team format designates the top 4 seeds to the 4 best conference champs. A straight seeding model seeds teams by the committee's rankings. The financial compromise distributes the same revenue, $8 million, to the 4 champions, even if they are not inside the top 4. So the top 4 ranked conference champions will still get an automatic $8 million for their conference, even if they don't get that bye. So that's the compromise. So they're not going to lose. If you win the Big 12, the Big 12 still gets $8 million, not just 4, right? So that is the compromise. And in today's day and age where revenue means everything, that's an important compromise, in my opinion. And I actually don't hate it. I think for college football fans, this is a great move. We hopefully it will lead to better football games, and the most deserving teams will get the first round buys. Okay, so I don't hate it. As long as the Big 12 doesn't have to give up that revenue, I don't hate it. Now, the way the college football playoff, nothing else really is going to change. That's the way the college football playoff works. They're still going to have the quarterfinal games starting on New Year's Eve, December 31st, and then others will occur on January 1st on New Year's Day. And that kind of segues into the next topic, which is why private capital is likely going to enter college football, and why Brett Yormark and others are trying really hard to get conference deals done with private capital or private equity firms. But before I talk more about that and how that relates to the CFP, we're going to give a shout out to another sponsor.
Hey, do me a favor. Go check out my good friends over at Appalachia Digital. If you need a brand new website for your small business, or if you're just looking to get found easier on Google, go check out appalachiadigital.com/Couz. These are the fine folks who designed my brand new website over at wvsportschat.com. They did a fantastic job. I love their work. I think you will too. So go check them out. appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know Couz sent you. Now let's get back to the show.
So how does private capital, what does it have to do? What does private capital have to do with the December 31st games or the college football playoff? Well, I'll tell you. It all involves bowl games and the value that these bowl games bring. Now, I got to give a shout out to an anonymous source who gave me the idea for this video, brought this to my attention because I wasn't aware of it. But the TV deals for the non-college football playoff bowl games are going to be up after this coming season. And right now, ESPN owns the rights to all but 2 bowl games. And these bowl games are very valuable, especially the ones that occur on December 31st. Games like the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Sun Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, and the Texas Bowl all occur on December 31st. And those time slots that those games fall into, you can have a noon game, you can have a 3:30 game, you can have a 2 o'clock game, maybe a 6 o'clock game, whatever. The time slots for those games are going to be extremely valuable because people are going to be off work. They're going to be sitting down to watch football all day. And not only can they get to watch the college football playoff quarterfinal game that night, but they can watch really good games between power conference teams, for the most part, all day long leading up to that. And networks are going to want those slots. Networks like CBS, NBC, Warner Brothers Discovery, Netflix, Apple, the streaming services even, are going to likely be fighting to try to get some of these games. Yes, I'm sure ESPN is going to try to step up and keep them. But the value of those games could potentially go up, especially now that they're going to be on the same day as a college football playoff quarterfinal game. And I know what you're asking, Couz, what in the world does that have to do with private capital? That's what I'm getting ready to tell you. These private capital firms, because I honestly didn't know the answer to this either until my source was able to kind of educate me on it. These private capital firms have really good relationships with companies who could be big-time sponsors for these bowl games. Heck, even the main sponsors for these bowl games. They could have really good relationships with them, with major advertisers. So if, let's just say, for example, let's say the Big 12 is able to get a deal with a private capital firm, and that private capital firm has really close relationships with one of the sponsors or multiple sponsors of some of these non-CFP bowl games, they can leverage that relationship to get the Big 12 in that game and make sure Big 12 gets the revenue from that game. That's important. Another thing he brought to my attention, it's actually possible that a private capital firm could even buy the rights to a bowl game and own it, pretty much. And if that's the case, and that private capital firm also happens to have a deal with a conference, they're going to assure that that conference is in that game and they win twice that way. Do they not? So that's why, that's another reason. And that's this non-CFP bowl game thing is something I had not even thought about. And I'll tell you something else I didn't even think about is how valuable these games were. Here are the payouts for not only the 4 games on December 31st that I mentioned, but also 3 other really high quality bowl games that are worth a lot of money. The ReliaQuest Bowl that I mentioned, the average payout for that game is around $7 million per conference. That's good. That's a big number. Right now, that game involves the SEC or the Big Ten, and I think the ACC may have a tie into it as well, potentially. The Sun Bowl, that game, but it's usually in the past, it's been an ACC and PAC game. Now that the PAC doesn't exist, we'll see where it goes. But the payout for the Sun Bowl is $4.6 million per conference, per participating conference. The Citrus Bowl, which right now is the SEC and the Big Ten, $8.2 million payout to each league. And that Texas Bowl that I mentioned, which the Big 12 does have a slot in right now, $6.4 million payout. Now, it would make sense for the Big 12 to try to keep that Texas Bowl slot because of, obviously, it's in Texas, and they have 4 schools in Texas. But they might have to get a private capital deal to help do that, right? And maybe even help raise the value of the game. Now, the other 3 games that are not necessarily played on December 31st, but are still bring a lot of viewership and are usually really good games and are very valuable to networks, are the Holiday Bowl, which in the past has been between the ACC and the Pac-12. It pays out about $6.5 million a year. Another Big 12 affiliated game, the Alamo Bowl, $8.3 million payout per conference. That's huge. And then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which also normally features a Big 12 team along with an ACC team, $6 million per league for the participation. And so that right there tells you just how valuable these major bowl games outside of the CFP are. And it's every league's best interest to get in as many of these games as they get teams in as many as these games as they can. And if getting a private capital deal helps do that, then that is another reason to do that. Now, yes, getting a private capital deal can bring instant cash flow into your conference. Yes, it can help you get a media right or get advertising deals for your schools. Yes, it can maybe even potentially help you pay a buyout for a team to come into your conference, those types of things. But it can also help you leverage relationships with advertisers to potentially get high quality, high paying non-CFP bowl games. This is something that, again, I had not thought about. And so far, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I have not seen any other show or any other media outlet talking about this. So I think this is something that might be flying under the radar a little bit. And heck, even the non-major games, right? There were 25 non-playoff bowl games last year that got over 2 million viewers. 15 of those exceeded 3 million viewers. College football fans are going to watch bowl games. So it's important for each conference to get as many bowl game affiliations as they can, especially the ones that I mentioned, the ones that pay out the highest amounts. And that is what Brett Yormark and that is what Tony Petitti and some of these other conference commissioners are trying to position themselves to do in talking with these private capital firms. I find it to be interesting. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section about these 2 topics. What do you think about the college football playoff seeding change? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And what do you think about, private capital helping conferences potentially keep and or even add on more high quality non-college football playoff related bowl games? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I also want to give a shout out to my paid VIP channel members of this episode. Remember, to be a paid VIP member, hit the join button below or the join button over at my channel homepage right beside my profile photo. But the VIP shout outs for this episode are Jake T, Daryl Fletcher, Deb K, Cheers Beers and Mountaineers, and James Green. Thank you all for your support. and for helping keep the lights on. Speaking of keeping the lights on, another shout out to my sponsors, Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law and Appalachia Digital. I also want to remind you that you can support me for free. All you have to do is hit the thumbs up button on this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and share this video with any of your family and friends who like West Virginia Mountaineer football, West Virginia Mountaineer basketball, and Big 12 related content, or any content that may affect the Big 12. I will cover that here on the channel. So please share it with your friends. I appreciate your support. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Q Country Roads.